the separation must begin. And the separation has two parts. We have the separation from ignorance, and then we have the separation from racism. Man, I think this is very important. We are at a pivotal point in our universe where it's time. It's time for the separation to begin. The separation has happened before, but we kind of got on this shift where we thought everyone was collectively on the same train. But as the pole of the earth is shifting and changing directions, the last will be first, and the first will be last. It is time for us to separate once again. If we do not, we will continue to witness a lot of the tragedies that we have been seeing for the last hundreds of years. So there are going to be a lot of people. You kind of wonder where I'm going with this, right? And, there's several parts to this, right? And so I gave you two. And that was the separation from ignorance and the separation from racism. But I'm going to add just a few more. But let's talk about the separation for ignorance. Separation for ignorance. So let's start with my brothers and sisters. It's time for those of you who have great morals, great values, aspirations, things that you look in life that you value, like such as family, friends, you name it. It's time for you to separate yourselves from people who do not honor or who do not value those systems. It's real. It's like Sodom and Gomorrah, right? It's time for you to separate yourselves from those people who do not value the things you value. Look, and there's a big difference between enjoying life, having fun, enjoying yourself, getting into a little rendezvous or trouble here and there versus dynamics where people do not value a particular life system. There's a big difference between the two. And so, if you ever find yourself in a battle between friends, family, you name it, who don't understand what the difference between those values are, it's time for you to separate yourself from those people. Right? You feel me? So, there's the difference between someone who's, you have a single home girl who is just, she's enjoying her life and she's dating multiple guys. Or you're a brother and you got a single brother, single homeboy who's just dating multiple women and they're just living their life and doing them. But in the course of the divine of conversations, when you have deep conversations with them, the essence of them is very genuine. they have a pure of essence of heart about who they are, and just in the quiet of the system of where they are, they just haven't found that they're one. Versus that homeboy, that homegirl that is just out here wildly. And every time you talk to them, they have nothing good to say about the opposite sex. They have nothing good to say about life. Get and I mean, you can even gauge their current situations. For example, uh, is this a homeboy who has multiple baby mothers? At some point, at some age in your life, the way you value that should be so different, especially if you're beyond your 20s. Now that doesn't mean that you cannot be in your 20s and you have a significant value system. No, by no means. But what that means is at a certain age in life, you should not see life the way you've seen it in your 20s, and vice versa. If you got some homegirls, if they got multiple baby daddies, when you listen to them talk about life, what they desire, what they want for their future, if those things do not line up with yours, and I say that very loosely for a reason, because your homeboy, your homegirl, they shit may line up with your shit. And so, you get what I'm saying? I mean it in a way of line up with your shit where it's not it's a part of what I'm speaking of, what people need to separate themselves from. Here's the reason why. The Earth's magnetic poles is going slowly in reverse. See, scientists kind of think now, they kind of think that it's stopped or it's slowing down, but it's neither. What's happening is it is starting to operate backwards. The Earth pole is shifting backwards. What that means is the last will be first, and the first will be last. Everything is about to shift backwards. And that's why you're gonna begin to see a lot of wild stuff. This is why you're seeing a lot of uneasiness amongst people, erratic behavior, sporadic behavior that just, when you look at it on paper, just doesn't make sense. Like, why did this person even make this decision to do what they did? And so with that dynamics, you take a lot of the significance of positions that are held individually as human beings on this planet Earth, which means there's going to be a lot of sex scandals. There's going to be a lot of uh, relationship scandals. There's no, I mean, and you guys are seeing a lot of that now. You're seeing the extreme rise in domestic violence, and domestic violence to the point to where men are killing women and women are killing men. But the men are killing women more. You're seeing that more than you're seeing the latter. But the point is, there's this pole shift. And the shift of the pole is that the pole is beginning to rotate backwards. This is ultimately it's a national phenomenon. It has happened before, hundreds of times, if not thousands of times, but it's happening in our lifespan, and we're seeing that shift. Our generation is seeing that shift, and with that being said, it's time for separation. The reason for this separation is that you got to protect your peace, your sanity, and your lineage. You have to protect your peace, your sanity, and your lineage. Because who and what you allow in your space will become a problem for your space and your lineage. They will become a issue, whether it be through conflict, like random conflict, or you know, but in essence, it would be something that's unnecessary. It'd be something that's unnecessary to happen. It's going to be a ignorant situation. It's going to be something foolish, but it's going to be because you held on to this person, kept them in your circle, and the way they're operating has eventually spilled over into your relationship with them. And I mean it. This could be friends, families, lovers, you name it, jobs. You know, if you're currently now experiencing a lot of different negative things in your job, it's time to change jobs. It's time to separate yourself from the people at that job. Change jobs, change careers. Think about something new to do, even if it's something simple for the time being. But if you find yourself right now that you hate going to work, that's a sign. It has always been a sign, but now is more detrimental than ever. You see, we have always been given signs. We always get those spiral senses. We always get signs that vibrations is off. See, spiritualists, they call it vibrations, but you always get those things. But what I'm speaking about now is how vital it is for you to take notice of that. Take notice of that and move accordingly. Most definitely. You know, if you got a homeboy, homegirl who likes wilding out, but you're not the wilding out type, separate yourself from that person. Do it. Hey, be like, yo, only invite me out to certain events. Don't invite me out to your wild and out stuff. You know what I'm saying? Separate yourself from these people, because there is going to be a lot of things these people are about to attract upon themselves that's going to be very dangerous. And the reason for that is because people are now, because their consciousness, their level of consciousness is succeeding. And people are now operating on magnitudes of truly, what's the term? Don't give a fuck. They are truly operating on that 100%. So there's a lot of behavior that's being done, a lot of things that's been done on the side, things that you may not know about that's been done, and people are going to pay. They're going to pay for the choices they're making. They're going to pay for the decisions that they're making, and separate yourself from that. You know, absolutely. You know, now when it comes to things, I would say that's more intimate. What I will leave with that is that it doesn't mean that you have to totally, because separation doesn't mean that you're cutting the person off completely. It just means that you have taken a position. You know where your morals and your standards are. You're taking a moment back to sit back, and you know where that person stands, and you say, okay, when they go here, I go there. The same method goes when it comes to us dealing with racism. And I mean that even in the racism aspect of self hate. Oh man. Man, we hate our own, we hate our own so bad it's ridiculous. We hate who we are. That is ridiculous. And the thing about it is when you really dig down and deep about it, you know, I hear people say all the time, I hate black people. I hate us. I hate how we act. And let me tell you from a psychologist's point of view, behavior is not ethnicity driven. It's not. It's an innate proclamation of Homo sapiens. When you dwell in certain things, when you live in certain spaces and live in certain atmospheres, live in certain fantasies within your mind, you're going to act those things out. And when this, that, and the third becomes popularized, it only polarizes the amount of people who begin to access that information, see it as such, and then begin to operate on it as such. Now I understand that language of speech, because if that's what you truly, because if that's who you truly care about, which is us, right? We judge each other more harshly because we truly care about one another. We really do. Because if we didn't, we wouldn't make that statement. But we make those statements because we truly care about each other, and we wish to see the best in our people. Hindsight to that is, and this is the purpose of separation. The hindsight of that is, just as many of us who are tipping the scale to ignorancy, there's the same amount, if not more, that is on that rise of positivity, success, freedom, high vibrations. This is where separation comes in. You have to find your way to where you separate yourself from low vibrations to the higher vibrations. You know, a lot of that particular principle may take time. You know, it may take time, but understanding who you are, where you are, then you begin to operate differently. You begin to navigate differently. And you have to if you want to have the level of success that you desire or you feel that you deserve. Separation is important. So as I piggyback off of racism, same thing goes for those who feel that white is right. Oh man. Oh man. I'm gonna get into that in another episode. But I'm gonna say this. Those who have never been a natural order of the earth cannot tell you how to naturally be a nurturer of the earth. When we understand that, we can take that information and you understand that, it will truly open your eyes to why you see the things that happen on those sides. Why the things that happen, have happened, will continue to happen on those sides. But make sure that you are protecting yourself. And you're now allowing them or the system to manipulate you into being a victim. So you take the example of what happened in Alabama and how uh, when they got into it, the fight that broke out, right? And you see the video went viral where I mean, just the video itself in Alabama speaks volumes, but the impact of how it went viral and the impact of what we start to speak of within that should continue to be viral. Like we should take that and really multiply that a billion times, a trillion times over, consistently in every situation when it comes to racism. That's what I mean. We got to separate ourselves from the racism, and it doesn't matter if it's our own kind. If you got a brother or a sister who thinks they're better than you because they live in a certain community, or they call themselves or they don't call themselves black. I mean, you have so many different facets and envelopes of things on this planet that it's scary, but it's very interesting. And so I have to speak broadly here, and I have to say, on a face value standpoint, that separation must begin. Separate yourself from those who don't see themselves as you, no matter what their race, color, or creed are. You get what I'm saying? If they don't see themselves as you, separate yourself from them. They gotta go. You know, this is the pivotal time to do that because everything is shifting. The last will be first, and the first will be last. What you're now seeing you're seeing kind of the new dryas, the new dryas of system. And so when selling the ass was extreme taboo, it's no longer that. It's no longer that. You get what I'm saying? And it has is every but what's happening is everything is going in the reverse. We have to follow that in order for us to survive it. At a length of time that we desire on this planet Earth, we have to follow it. Unfortunately, but we do, right? But separation is key. So yes, yes, let these young folks have their enjoyment, do their thing, do what they desire to do, but separate yourself from that. Separate yourself from that. Because if you don't, your day, for one, your days are going to be shortened and you're going to get caught up in it. That's real. That's real. You feel me? And if you want true happiness in your life, you have to separate yourself from people who don't share the same values as you. Because as long as you keep them around, you still have that energy being in your circle. You know, same. So with racism, we got to stop videotaping racism. Start kicking ass. Stop videotaping. Stop recording. For what? I mean, we already know the game. We already know the dynamics of racism. We already know the hatred. That's nothing new. So videotaping it is not an ooh ah moment. So if you're gonna videotape it, tape you kicking some ass. Straight like that. Separate yourselves from it. We have to separate ourselves from the current narrative and start operating in God mode. I don't expect no one under 20 or no one under 27 to be in cohesive with that, right? But us who are adults, man, us that are elders, allow these children to enjoy their life. Allow them to be themselves, but warn them, talk to them, discuss things with them. You know, give them the innate knowledge for them to understand what they may or may not experience. But allowing them to also be self-sufficient, self-observationists, so where they observe their life for themselves, what of the choices they make, and but most importantly, always still protect them. Always, you got to. But the separation must begun, even amongst those of same age who do not share the same values as you. They gotta go. They gotta go. They have to go. I'll tell you like that. And in closing, as I speak to that, right, and I'll say this separation. This is because we at the new dryas, and if you want to spend the rest of your life or majority of the rest of your life in happiness, or as happy as you can be, or as enjoyable as you can be, we have to separate ourselves from those who do not share the same values. Now, the values don't have to align perfectly, but sharing those values is essential, right? And those who do not feel like, and once again, I'm the type, I'm kicking the ass on racism. So someone who feels like, no, we shouldn't do that, I separate myself from those people. Let those people who feel that way be in a circle by themselves. You get what I'm saying? Surround yourself around people who share the same values as you, share the same observations as you, share the same energy as you. Now, ultimately, the totality of decisions may not be the same, but you will never know that. But what you do know is the particular value system. And we must do it. You got to do it now. Do it now. If you don't, you are about to experience, if you have never experienced a lot of bullshit in your life, you're about to experience some shit now. And if you experience some bullshit in your life, the worst bullshit that you have experienced already, you're about to experience way more than that. If you don't shift your circle. I'm telling you, you know it and you see it. You see it. You see it in news headlines. You see it. But I'm gonna share a lot of different dynamics in some more episodes. But just talking about that in general, yo, we gotta wake up, man. But if you follow this channel, you have, and you are, and you know what it is. But if you're new to this channel, just understand. This is Black Men in Suits. I'm your host, Sam J. And I'm here to give you the uncut truth.